Welcome back to our review and react channel. The Sony Xperia Z5 Compact is the smaller sibling to the Xperia Z5 and the 4K screen packing Z5 Premium. It's also the successor to the Xperia Z3 Compact, retaining the same 4.6-inch 720p HD screen in a water-resistant body. As is the case with its predecessor, Sony includes as many of its high-end features as it can into the smaller frame. So you get the same great camera, 64-bit Snapdragon 810 processor powering performance and the ability to shoot 4K video just like you can on the Z5. SIM-free, the Z5 Compact costs around £450, which is £100 cheaper than the Z5. On the face of it, if you're happy to make some compromises with the design and screen quality, then Compact has plenty going for it. However, I found that the longer I've been living with it. Design. In recent years, Sony has stuck firmly to its omni-balance design philosophy. When the Xperia Z launched in 2013, it was refreshing to see a handset that was so different from what the likes of Apple, Samsung, LG, HTC were bringing to market. Those same eye-catching elements introduced back then have trickled down into Sony's other handsets, including the Z3 Compact. The Z5 Compact offers a frosted glass finish on the back and front of the phone, which, although feels very much like plastic to touch, makes a welcome change from the slippery tempered glass used on last year's phones. For anyone who's owned a Z3 or a Z3 Compact, you'll know all about how the issues of that glossy back, especially if you like resting your phone on the armchair of your sofa or any soft material surface. Measuring in at 8.9mm thick compared to the Z5's slender 7.3mm profile, the Z5 Compact is a far chunkier phone. In fact, it looks the handset's back and sides are sporting a bumper. Unlike the Z5, these sides are made of plastic, rather than the more luxurious metallic finish. In white, I can't help but feel that the Z5 Compact looks like a toy. There are few companies that have successfully delivered an attractive white phone. You can add Sony to the group that doesn't quite pull it off. The good news is that the Z5 Compact is also available in black, yellow and red, and I'd be inclined to go for one of these over the white. The buttons and ports are positioned in pretty much the same place you'll find them on the Z5. The Compact moves the nano SIM and micro SD card slot further down the left edge of the phone, next to a small gap where you can attach a lanyard. Elsewhere, it's an identical layout to the Z5. Thankfully, you still get a dedicated camera button, which is handy for taking photos in landscape mode. Plus, the larger, side-mounted home button now includes a fingerprint sensor. To set it up, head into the phone's security settings and follow the process, which involves placing your finger on the power button and lifting it off when you feel a vibration. While I found Sony's fingerprint sensor better positioned than Apple's Touch ID sensor and Samsung's fingerprint tech, it was a little more temperamental in operation. You'll need to be very precise when wrapping your finger around that button. I should also mention waterproofing. Sony remains one of the few companies to offer such protection. Its IP68 certification means it's technically dust and waterproof to a depth of 15 m for up to 30 minutes. Except Sony doesn't want you to take your phone into the water, as the company bizarrely advised its customers recently. The Z5 Compact certainly isn't an ugly phone or an uncomfortable phone to use, but in many ways it just isn't as nice as the Z3 Compact. Especially with its thicker form. Display. The Sony Xperia Z5 Compact comes with a 4.6-inch IPS LCD display. By today's standards, that's a screen size below the average, and that on-screen buttons eat up precious space does not make things any better. On one hand, there's nothing holding you back from playing a game of Need for Speed or watching an episode of Voltron on a Z5 Compact. But on the other, these and other activities are more enjoyable on a bigger screen. When chatting, for instance, the on-screen keyboard occupies more space than the actual text conversation. Although the UI is also to blame for this imperfect experience. We're not saying that a 4.6-inch screen is too small or impractical. It just has its obvious limitations when compared to larger offerings. Those demanding a compact phone, however, should do just fine with what the Z5 Compact has to provide. In terms of resolution, the Z5 Compact's display packs 720 by 1280 pixels, which translates to a density of 319 pixels per inch. The screen that Sony went for is sufficiently clear and crisp, which makes it perfectly usable. However, it would have been nice seeing a screen of higher resolution in its place, seeing that this is a rather expensive phone we're dealing with. On the plus side, lower resolution means better gaming performance. Sony could have paid more attention to color accuracy. Our display measurements show that the Xperia Z5 Compact's screen has a color temperature exceeding 9000 kelvins, and that's quite far from the reference mark of 6500K. The screen appears bluish because of that. And the delta E figures, which indicate the screen's accuracy across the color spectrum and grayscale range, are average at best. It is nice that color accuracy can be tweaked from the settings menu, but we don't see many Z5 Compact owners actually doing that. Where the Z5 Compact truly shines, however, is in the brightness category. With a peak output exceeding 700 nits, the phone's screen is one of the brightest around, which explains why outdoor visibility has never been an issue during the weeks we spent testing the phone. Before we move on, we must mention that the Xperia Z5 Compact remains usable even when its screen or your fingers are wet. There's also a glove mode, which can be triggered manually, but if you don't plan on actually using the phone with gloves on, we'd recommend you to leave the feature off. Having it on results in frequent accidental taps when the phone is used with bare fingers. Network and connectivity. The Compact is sold unlocked and supports LTE bands 1/3/4/5/7/8/12/17/28/38/40. It'll work on any GSM carrier, and thanks to the presence of bands 12 and 17 you'll get strong connectivity on T-Mobile and AT&T, since these are the bands responsible for extended LTE range and better building penetration, respectively. I tested the Compact on T-Mobile and found reliable connectivity in most areas of Midtown Manhattan. Indoors I saw a high of 11 Mbps down and 6 Mbps up. Outdoor connectivity was even better at 20 Mbps down and 30 Mbps up. The phone has dual-band Wi-Fi, and reached blazing 150 Mbps download and upload speeds on the 5GH Z5 OS test router in PC Labs. Other connectivity features include Bluetooth 4.1 and NFC. Call quality on the Compact is fine. Earpiece volume is good, though there are occasional pops and some hiss in calls. Noise cancellation manages to keep outgoing calls clear of traffic noise, but wind can still make its way through. Performance and hardware. The Compact has the same Snapdragon 810 processor clocked at 20 GHz with 2 GB of RAM that larger Z5 does. It performs well for general usage and multitasking, without even a hint of slowdown. Graphics performance is also strong. Asphalt 8 and GTA San Andreas played smoothly in testing, with responsive controls and well-rendered graphics. While the Z5 ran warm when gaming, I didn't notice this to happen with the Compact, which could be due to its less demanding 720p display and plastic build. The Compact scored 50,840 in the Tuesday benchmark, which tests overall system performance. That's a lot better than the Snapdragon 801, powered OnePlus X, 39,787, and the Snapdragon 410, powered Alcatel One Touch Idol 347, 22,212, making the Compact the most powerful small Android phone available. That said, the iPhone Southeast blows the Compact out of the water with its A9 processor. When it comes to battery life, the Z5 Compact does well, clocking 6 hours and 4 minutes of playback when streaming full-screen video over LTE at maximum brightness. That's on par with the iPhone Southeast, 6 hours, and slightly better than the OnePlus X, 5 hours and 45 minutes, and the Idol 3, 5 hours and 14 minutes. Using the compact all day shouldn't be a problem, and fast charging lets you reach a 60% charge in half an hour using the included charger. Camera. With a 23MP Sony Xperia Z sensor, a wide-angle 24mm lens, and 4K video recording, I was really looking forward to seeing what the Z5 Compact's camera could do. However, I must confess that I am a little disappointed. Part of my disappointment might be because my expectations were high. This is a Sony device. Sony make great digital cameras. Sony sells its mobile sensors to lots of other smartphone makers. The Z5 Compact has a 23MP sensor, and so on. Basically, I was expecting great things. All I can say is that the camera on the Z5 Compact did not meet my expectations. That doesn't mean it is a bad camera. In fact, it is quite good, but it isn't the best. So let me justify my statements. Below are two galleries, one with pictures shot in 4:3 at 23MP, the second in 16:9 at 8MP, the latter should be using super sampling. As you can see, in good daylight the camera works well and there is little to choose between the 23MP and 8MP images, other than the resolution. However, some pictures seem dull and washed out. In low light situations the camera tries very hard to produce a good shot, however the noise levels can be very high, even for indoor shots. The camera in the Z5 Compact is the same as the camera in the bigger Z5. For a deeper comparison of how the camera compares with other smartphones, check out our camera shootout: Xperia Z5 versus LG G4 versus Galaxy Note 5 versus iPhone 6s. Having said all that, my disappointment about the camera's performance was slightly alleviated by the bundled camera app. It is truly a great app and offers much more than just HDR and panorama. Along with a full manual mode, there are lots of additional modes, including an AR mode, which can superimpose computer-generated scenes like dinosaurs and fish onto your photos or videos, an AR mask mode, to mask your face with different generated masks, a time-shift video mode, which records at a high frame rate and applies slow motion effects, and a multi-camera mode, which allows you to record the same scene from multiple angles on a single screen. Software. The Compact updates to Android 6.0 Marshmallow upon setup. Given Sony's track record, we expect it will eventually receive an update to Android N as well. Like many OEMs, Sony has made a fair amount of UI changes. There are different app icons, an altered settings menu, and a custom What's New widget that shows different apps and games available for download. The Compact also has a fair amount of bloatware, including Amazon Shopping, AR Effect, AVF Protection Pro, Dropbox, Facebook, File Commander, LifeLog, Movie Creator, Office Suite, Privilege Plus, Spotify, Sketch, Smart Connect, Track ID, and Xperia Lounge. There are also apps for PlayStation, PSN, and PS Video, which let you interact with your PlayStation 4. You're left with 1949 GB out of 32 GB, which is sufficient to install a fair number of apps if you keep all your pictures, music, and videos on external storage. Similar to LG and Samsung, Sony has disabled the adaptable storage feature on Marshmallow, preventing you from installing apps directly to the SD card and having them treated as part of internal memory. Battery life. When it comes to battery life, the Z5 Compact does well, clocking 6 hours and 4 minutes of playback when streaming full-screen video over LTE at maximum brightness. That's on par with the iPhone Southeast, 6 hours, and slightly better than the OnePlus X, 5 hours and 45 minutes, and the Idol 3, 5 hours and 14 minutes. Using the Compact all day shouldn't be a problem, and fast charging lets you reach a 60% charge in half an hour using the included charger. Water resistant. Both phones are resistant to water, but in slightly different ways. The iPhone 7 is IP67 rated, which means it can withstand rain and even a shower. The Galaxy S7, meanwhile, is IP68 certified, which is far more dunkable. With its powerful processor, good battery life, and solid camera, the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact is a great choice for a one-handed Android device that doesn't trade power for size. It offers more power and better battery life than any of the similarly sized Android competition, including the Alcatel Idol 3 4.7, the HTC One A9, and the OnePlus X. It's a bit expensive compared with the Alcatel and OnePlus handsets, but you're paying for nearly flagship level specs here.